Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Iman bin Fadzillah. My matrix number is 2023858682. And for today, I will present my research, which is called The Role of Anaerobic Conditioning in Combat Sports Performance, a systematic literature review. So this is the content that I will be presenting today. I will present every content in this slide from introduction into conclusion in detail. As we all know, anaerobic conditioning is one of the key essential in combat sports because of the high intensity and short duration nature of the physical demand. This high intensity bursts can make up a significant portion of the effective combat time, accounting for 39% to 57% of the bulk. And a proper anaerobic conditioning allows athletes to perform these high velocity efforts repeatedly throughout the bulk, enhancing their endurance, their power, and also their overall performance. So this is my problem statement. Problem statement number one is that current research rarely tracks on how long anaerobic gains last or fade after a period of detraining, and also even a fewer studies examine gender-specific responses to these conditioning programs. The problem number two is that there is no agreement on which is the most valid sport-specific anaerobic field test, and auto-regulatory load monitoring methods remain understudied. So, in this research, there are 4 research questions and also the objectives. So, the first question is what is the time course of change in peak power and lactate kinetic and competition performance during an 4-week, 8-week, and 12-week detraining period after an 8-week HIIT mesocycle in elite level judo. So for the objective is to chart the time course of the detraining. So for number 2 is how does an 8-week sprint interval program can affect anaerobic power, lactate clearance rate, and also the iron status in female versus male taekwondo athletes. The research objective is to determine the most competitive predictive anaerobic field test. So for the next one is what is the strength of association between changes in Wingate peak power, post-bulk lactate and win ratio after a targeted anaerobic conditioning block in international karate athletes. The objective is to link improvement to competitive output. So the last one is how do different work rest ratio within match volume HIIT sessions influence the internal load RPE and HRV and the subsequent anaerobic adaptation in professional mixed martial arts fighters. And the objective is to clarify those response of the characteristic of a HIIT. So moving on to the literature review session, the literature on anaerobic conditioning in combat sports reveal a significant finding across different disciplines. Borowiak found that interval training in judo athletes improve anaerobic capacities, enhancing their peak power and running speed at anaerobic threshold, overall improving their performance during high-intensity bouts. As for Ozil and Chakmachi says that even though training in boxes improved anaerobic power and maximal strength, it did not impact the overall body weight and maximal power. Similar to Ojeda Aravena found that HIIT in taekwondo athletes did not surpass the traditional training, even though they show improvement in the anaerobic power. Overall, these studies emphasize that the importance of tailored anaerobic conditioning program for each combat sports. So, for research methodology, I use 3 platforms to find the journal that I have to review, which is PubMed, Scopus, and Web of Science. Across these 3 platforms, I have found around 590 journals in the identification process. After doing the screening, the record screen is around 380, excluding the 320 journal. The report sourced for retrieval is around 60 and there are 6 reports not retrieved. After assess the reports for eligibility, I have come to finding that the final numbers that I will be reviewing is 14. In this section, we outline the search strategy used for collecting relevant studies on anaerobic conditioning in combat sports. The search was conducted across 3 major databases, which is the one that I mentioned in the previous slide, PubMed, Scopus, and Web of Science. For PubMed, we use a combination of keywords related to martial arts such as boxing, judo, and mixed martial arts, alongside the terms like high intensity interval training and also resistance training to ensure comprehensive results. On Scopus, the strategy expanded to include terms like combat sports and anaerobic conditioning, focusing on studies that look at various types of interval training and resistance training methods. Finally, on Web of Science, we searched for terms like glycolytic training, sport-specific interval, and intermittent training, ensuring we capture studies on various anaerobic conditioning protocols relevant to the combat sport. So, after reviewing all the 14 journals that I have found, these are the results that I get. Number one, the judo relies on anaerobic system for explosive efforts. The HIIT improves the anaerobic power, but the detraining for 4 to 12 weeks leads to a significant reduction on peak power and lactic acid clearance. As for the gender difference in power, the female taekwondo athlete shows more efficient lactate clearance and higher threshold than compared to male taekwondo athletes. Personalized conditioning based on these gender differences is crucial for the optimal performance, and the correlation between Wingate test and match efficiency shows that improvements in anaerobic power from HIIT are linked to better attack efficiency in karate, but translating lab results to competitive performance remain complex. So, moving on to the next one, which is the work to rest ratios for power development. The longer rest interval in HIIT boosts anaerobic power more effective compared to the short ones. The HIIT improves strength and power, but further research is needed to refine training protocol. The next one is improvement in peak power and mean power. The HIIT enhanced the anaerobic power in combat athletes, in particular their peak and mean power output. This improvement, driven by an increased fast-twitch muscle fiber recruitment, support performance in short intense combat efforts. As for the last one is the impact of HIIT on the recovery. HIIT enhanced the lactate clearance, improving athletes' recovery and the ability to sustain high-intensity efforts. This results in better overall performance by reducing their fatigue during successive exchange in the combat bout. So, moving on to the discussion part, there are 4 key highlights that I wanted to mention, which is the first one, the importance of anaerobic conditioning is critical for combat sports because it enhances the ability to sustain high intensity efforts like sprint, strikes, and rapid direction changes. Combat sports such as boxing, judo, and taekwondo, it all relies on anaerobic energy system, particularly the phosphogen and glycolytic pathways. The second one is the anaerobic conditioning programs needs to be tailored for each combat sports. For example, taekwondo athlete shows improved coordination in executing fast kicks, while judo athletes gain a better balance for a successful throw. And the third one is power development and performance is essential for generating explosive movements in combat sports. The overall review highlights a significant improvement in peak and mean power output through HIIT and sprint interval training. These gains in power are especially beneficial for boxers where punch speed and force are critical for a success. And the last one is the recovery and lactate clearance. HIIT shows that it improves lactate clearance, which help combat athletes recover faster between intense effort. This allows a sustained high performance throughout the match. The faster the clearance of lactic acids improve the athlete's functional fitness. So, if there's a recommendation that I can conclude in this review, there are 4 recommendations that I can say. The first one, in future studies should focus on a long-term research to assess the durability of anaerobic adaptation, because most studies last from 6 to 8 weeks, it may not capture the lasting effects of anaerobic conditioning. The second one is I recommend that in the future research must examine on how male and female athlete responds differently to anaerobic conditioning, because gender specific difference in muscle fibers, the lactate clearance and hormonal regulation can influence the training outcome. The third one is that the use of technology to track the performance, because the future studies should incorporate the advanced technology such as wearable sensors, biomechanical analysis. Using these tools, it can track real-time performance, and using the current data will allow for more precise monitoring for an athlete's progress and help adjust their training plan. And the last one is it should be a multi-sport research. More multi-sport research are needed to compare anaerobic conditioning across different combat disciplines. Understanding the common conditioning strategies across sports can refine the training protocol and identify the universal strategies that improve the performance. It will also help in applying successful practice from one combat sport to another combat sport. So, to conclude everything from this research, anaerobic conditioning is very essential for improving power and overall performance in combat sports. Training methods such as HIIT and sprint interval training showed that it enhanced performance during a key moment in a match by increasing an athlete's ability to sustain a high-intensity efforts. Anaerobic conditioning also must be a sport specific to meet the unique demands for each combat sport discipline. Like judo athletes benefit from to improve their balance and power for throws, while taekwondo athletes gain better for their coordination for high-speed kicks. In future research, it should focus on longer intervention periods and include more diverse athlete samples, including a gender-specific analysis, and using a field-based assessment will enhance the ecology validity of the studies. It will help us understand the real-world impact of anaerobic conditioning on the performance. Last but not least, the field of combat sports conditioning can continue to improve by refining the training strategies based on the research finding. Future studies should explore advanced methodologies and technologies to track performance and consider a long-term effect. It will lead to a better training protocol and improve athlete health, overall optimizing performance outcome in combat sports. So this is all the reference that I have got. All 14 of them are found in PubMed, Scopus, and also Web of Science. All 14 journals that I have found is very legit, and each and every single one of them has a very important part in this research. So that's all for my presentation for today. I hope this research will help the future studies. And that's all from me. I'm signing off. Assalamualaikum.